Sam, thank you very much indeed for that, hearing that recount in Blyth Valley. They were thought of as perhaps potentially going to be amongst the front runners to declare first in this general election, presumably out of the race there if they're going through a recount. But, of course, then it's down to the two favourites, Sunderland and Newcastle. We're hearing 4 or 5 minutes away in one of them anyway. Sunderland, Sarah-Jane Mee is there. How close do they think they are?
Well, Dermot, I've just been given a 5-minute warning, so we're on standby for the first result to be delivered. It's around, 24 minutes past 11. They declared at around 5 past 11 the first result from Houghton and Sunderland South in the last general election, so it's a bit slower. Is that because turnout has been higher? We don't yet know. Obviously, we'll find out more when the results are announced, but quite a few of those counting the votes have been sitting still for quite some time. I've been understanding that people have been getting texts from those at the Blyth Valley count saying that they were ahead, but as you've been saying, they're having a recount there. So Sunderland's still hopeful of getting the first result to be declared, but obviously they are saying that being accurate is more important. I'm just hearing that here in Sunderland there's been a 58%.
OK, Sarah-Jane, I'm cutting you off because
we'll be back to you when the result
Central
comes in.
Coming up on the rails. Sorry, Sarah-Jane, over to Gillian in Newcastle. What's happening?
Yeah, silence has fallen. We believe that we're about to declare here. We haven't had an official declaration of that, but we were warned that it could be any time, and we can see Pat Ritchie going up to make the declaration, the returning officer. It will be for Newcastle Central, we're told.
Yeah.
And they were first in 2017, a lot later than they were at that time.
Yeah.
1 minute past 11, and we're now 11:25 p.m.
Can I have your attention, please? I'm ready to declare the result for Newcastle upon Tyne Central. I, Pat Ritchie, hereby give notice that the total number of votes for each candidate for the Newcastle upon Tyne Central constituency is as follows. Syed Ali Avey, also known as Ali Avey, 2,709. Mark Frederick Glenn Griffin, Brexit Party, 2,542. Chinyelo Susan Unwura, also known as Chi Unwura, 21,568. Emily Victoria Payne, the Conservative candidate, 9,290. Tamar Jem Pittman, also known as Tay Pittman, 1,365. And that Chi Unwura has been duly elected to serve as member for said constituency.
We have the result. Chi Unwura re-elected to the Newcastle Central constituency. Let's listen to her acceptance speech.
I'd like, obviously, to start by thanking the returning officer for her excellent work, and also the police who have maintained our safety and security, and the amazing teams of Newcastle employees here and also in all the polling stations across Newcastle who have done such fantastic work to get us here. And I believe I am the first MP to be declared. Is that right? So for the moment, the entire British Parliament is...
Well, trailing in second, but not too far behind. The result coming in from Sunderland, Sarah-Jane.
Returning officer hereby give notice
the returning officer is
that
just
the
about to
total
announce
number
the
of
results
votes for each candidate for the Houghton and Sunderland South constituency is as follows. Richard Peter Bradley, Green Party, 1,125. Paul Edgeworth, Liberal Democrat, 2,319. Richard Elvin, UKIP, 897. Christopher John Charles Howarth, the Conservative Party, 13,095.
What's that, Ida? Not much.
Richard Maeve Phillipson, Labour Party, 16,210. Kevin Lawrence Yule, Brexit Party, 6,165. And that Bridget Maeve Phillipson has been duly elected to serve as member for the said constituency. I'd like to invite the elected candidates to say a few words.
It is a privilege to have been
well, there
elected
you
for the
have it, the
fourth
result
time.
in for Houghton and Sunderland South. It is a Labour win for Bridget Phillipson, who's just making her acceptance speech behind me. She got 16,210 votes, a much tighter race this time around, and a much smaller majority, a majority of 3,115. So a much tighter majority than last time. The majority in the last election was 12,341. So that has shrunk quite significantly, but it is still a Labour win for Houghton and Sunderland South this evening. We're still waiting for Sunderland Central and Washington and Sunderland West. We'll bring you those results, Dermot, as soon as they come in.
Sarah Jane, thank you very much indeed, and thanks to Gillian in Newcastle. We want to go through both these results. They, yes, are the early declarers. Just for the record, Newcastle just beat Houghton and Sunderland South. But some pretty astonishing numbers coming out here. And let's stay with Houghton and Sunderland South and look at that majority. Yes, Bridget Phillipson is back and making her acceptance speech there as the continuing Labour MP for the constituency on a share of 40%, Conservatives on 32%, the Brexit Party on 15%. And look at this. This is perhaps going to tell us the tale of the evening. Labour way down in that share, that majority then shaved down, as Sarah Jane was saying, from 12 to 3,000, 18.7, nearly 19% down. The Conservatives up slightly. The Brexit Party, though, putting on 15.5%, gaining 15.5%. Of course, they didn't stand in the last election. The Lib Dems up a smidge, as are the Greens. And this argument by Boris Johnson that he was putting just on the eve of the election, and of course, as many Conservative supporters were saying to the Brexit Party. Now, you remember that the Brexit Party leader, Nigel Farage, said that they would not stand against Conservatives, but they did stand in the main. Some candidates pulled out. They did stand in the main against Labour candidates. The argument by Boris Johnson was that you will still split the Brexit vote. These could become, could you imagine Houghton and Sunderland South becoming a Conservative seat? Well, without the Brexit Party, that might have happened. And we had a recount in Blyth Valley. We're staying in the northeast. Again, a rock-solid Labour seat for so many years. Let's have a look at it. Blyth Valley, I'm just hearing, running in their third. They were close to declaring. This is by the by now. We're hearing a 10-point swing to the Conservative Party from the Labour Party. Wow. The Brexit Party there on 3,391, but it's those top two we need to look at. 17,440. Labour pushed down to 16,728. Ian Levy elected with a slim majority. They don't mind about that, those Conservatives. In Blyth Valley, John Bercow, as we talk through this, look at that. The Conservative vote share going up to 42.7%, up 5.4%. The Labour Party going down there 15%, the Brexit Party up 8.3%. I was saying Boris Johnson's warning was that you'll take seats away from Conservative candidates. Well, perhaps they're also taking seats away from Labour candidates. But just that thought that here we are, this confirming very early on, I know, but the direction of this exit poll, if they're taking seats like this.
Yes, it certainly does. I mean, there are two catastrophic results for the Labour Party there. First, of course, in Blyth Valley, Ronnie Campbell has represented that seat as the Labour Member of Parliament for about 3 decades. He's retired. There's a new Labour candidate. But it is a staggering result that Labour's vote share is so far down and that there is a Conservative MP for Blythe Valley. If you look at Houghton and Sunderland South...
There's never been a Conservative
There's
MP
never
for
been
Blythe
a Conservative MP for Blythe Valley. In Houghton and Sunderland South, where Bridget Phillipson has been re-elected, 3/4 of her majority has evaporated. It's gone down from over 12,000 to only just over 3,000. So those are hugely negative results for Labour. It's quite interesting to juxtapose them against the result in Newcastle for Chion-Wura. And Chion-Wura's majority was reduced, but by nothing like as big a margin. And it's not unrelated to the
through
fact.
the prism of Brexit. I mean,
Through the prism of Brexit.
That was a city that voted narrowly to remain.
voted narrowly to remain, Sunderland heavily to leave. And there's an obvious link between the Brexit instinct on the one hand and how people...
OK, but, I mean, Beth Rigby, we are only dealing with 3 results, but look where they are, and 2 of them, as John Burke was saying, catastrophic for Labour, even though they've held on there with Bridget Phillipson.
Yes, and I spoke to a Labour candidate in one of these red wall seats, if you like, these seats stretching from Wales across to Humberside, where the Tories are targeting vote leave areas. And this candidate said to me that they thought that these seats could go and it would be a matter of a few hundred votes and a number of seats. And look at that. They've gone from a Labour majority of 8,000 in Blythe Valley and it's gone Conservative by just 712 votes. That is extraordinary, isn't it?
Did you...
A 10% swing.
Beth, I mean, while you were on the road during the campaign, did you get that sense of just how deeply this Get Brexit Done slogan was resonating with a lot of Labour voters?
I did, and there was that was a theme running through many of the visits that I went on up into the Midlands and up into parts of the north. That Get Brexit Done was very powerful, but I have to say as well, it wasn't just Get Brexit Done.
It was the leader. It
was the leader, and actually, we're talking a lot about Boris Johnson's great strategy. He was also very lucky to have been up against an opponent that was actually a great asset for Boris Johnson because of the problems that Jeremy Corbyn was finding amongst many traditional Labour voters. They just didn't like him very much.
But why didn't it work last time round for Theresa May? Was that about
look,
leadership as well?
I think there was a couple of things. I think that the whole Brexit gridlock wasn't as embedded 2 years ago. I think things have changed. People are genuinely really fed up. And also Theresa May had a bad campaign. But thirdly, Jeremy Corbyn was an unknown in 2017.
Yeah, of course.
There was a Corbyn surge because people didn't know him. They'd read a lot of negative things about it. They saw him and they quite liked him. He was priced in this election, and there wasn't a kind of upside of who is Jeremy Corbyn. They knew what Jeremy Corbyn was like 2 years down the line from 2017 and just decided they didn't want him to be Prime Minister.
OK, well, listen, plenty more to discuss on that, obviously, but we want to talk through some numbers. As I say, only 3 results, but in these Labour heartlands, former Labour heartland in the case of Blythe Valley, Sam Coates has been telling... We were musing, Sam, about whether these results are going in the direction of the exit poll. It seems so.